welcome back. Thanks for listening to the Adulting is Easy podcast, where we make adulting easier by making money easier. This is your host, Lauren. And I'm joined today by Ruchi Pinniger, founder and CEO of Watch Her Prosper, who empowers us to redefine prosperity in business and life through holistic financial guidance and mindset coaching. Her signature approach fosters shame-free empowerment, enabling clients to achieve significant results in profitability and economic growth. Ruchi leverages her years of experience on Wall Street to provide expert advice on financial leadership, tax time readiness, and small business finances. She's also dedicated to philanthropy, serving on the executive boards of Savvy Ladies and the Pajama Program. Recognized with the Entrepreneur Community Leadership Award in 2024, she's committed to helping entrepreneurs thrive while cherishing moments with her family as well. Thanks for joining me, Ruchi.
Thanks so much for having me, Lauren. It's great to be here with you and your listeners.
Yes, and our goal for today is to make adulting easier for listeners by discussing a personal finance topic, since managing money is a big part of adulting. So today we're going to talk about why we all struggle with finances and why we often think items like a designer bag will make us happy. And there is a story there. So let's kick off with that. Why don't we?
Yes. Okay. So we're going to rewind just a few years and thinking back to my childhood with immigrant parents. My mom really was a single mom because we lost our dad early. And one of the things like I really remember was my classmates and my friends and having all the things that to me looked like they were really fancy and made them have a happy, perfect life. So that's how I equated those things. And so we couldn't really afford those things. And we got them when they were kind of out of fashion and on sale. And fast forward many years later, I'm on Wall Street and I felt like, okay, I finally made it. And for me, that thing at the time that I thought was going to bring me joy and bring me happiness was a Prada bag. And I bought myself that Prada bag. And guess what? I know you can probably guess, nothing changed. Nothing changed except I went into debt and my life was exactly the same. And that's really, I mean, when you think about all of us, here listening, many of us sort of think, okay, well, this one thing is going to change my life. When I finally have that thing, it's going to do this. When I finally have this thing, this is what's going to happen. And for me, I realized that's not the case in that example, and I realized that prosperity is really coming from the inside, and that's, our wholeness and the work that we do internally is what's gonna change everything, not the Prada bag or whatever it is for you, fill in the blank.
So for people who are not as well versed in Prada bags or designer bags in general, or maybe they're guys, maybe they're girls that aren't into it, can you tell us how much one of those actually is?
Oh yeah, well back then maybe a few $100. Now I think 1,000 or $2,000, but they go up depending on what they're made of. So think about, a Kia versus a Ferrari, right? Like so just equating it to things that people are more aware of. Like that was the thing that you see in the magazines with the beautiful models and you think you have that and it means that you have a life that you don't really have, right? So in the work that I've done over these last 10 years since starting this business, I've really narrowed down, what is prosperity? We think about prosperity in financial terms and, money. It's not just about the green stuff though. Real prosperity comes down to three pillars, which I've really focused on with what we've seen with clients and other people, which is well-being, spirituality, and then with our relationships with ourselves, with people, and with money.
Something with the designer bag and any purchasing anything, obviously, it's a lot quicker and a lot more attainable on a short term. It's a little bit like, you post something on social media, you get the likes, you get like that little dopamine hit up front and you're very excited about it. But over time that wears off and then you don't have the money. So like psychologically, I think that's what's going on there. And for me, whenever I've bought something maybe expensive like that, like or say like even a t-shirt, I'll like be wearing the t-shirt, say, and like say I spent like $50 on this t-shirt, like it's more than I would normally spend on a t-shirt. And I'm like worried I'm gonna get something on it the whole time. Like you'd like if whenever you like spend something that's outside of your like comfort zone or just outside of your financial lane, I feel like you can't enjoy it that much anyways, you know?
It's so true, especially if it's a white t-shirt, by the way.
I can't. No, I don't even do it. And my husband, like, he's always getting stuff on his shirts. And yesterday we're shopping and he's like, how about a
Uh-huh.
white shirt? I'm like, he's like, no, I need a dress shirt. I'm like, no, the last white shirt you had, you spilled red wine on it and you wore it once. Like, I'm sorry, we can't do that anymore.
That's so true, that's so true. But here's the thing about it Lauren. The bag is just my story, but for other people,
Yes.
it's the external factor. So yes, it could be the thing, but it could also be the external validation we get from other people, right? Like it could be anything. What is it that makes us whole ultimately? And that bag I thought would change my life and would make, you know, me different or show up differently or something, right? There was something that I thought it would do. But ultimately, we all have something that we think is going to change our lives, but it all comes back to us and the work we do internally.
How soon after this designer bag situation did you start Watch Her Prosper? Like, what was the getting from point A to point B there? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it was quite a while, if I'm being honest. I was on Wall Street for a lot of years and I was around a lot of wealth and success. And, I still, though, didn't feel satisfied. Like for so many years, I struggled with what do I want to do with my life? I know I want to make more impact. And I didn't feel happy inside. I was going through the motions, right? So many of us just go through the motions of life and because we need to show up or provide for our
yeah,
families. But we're not feeling fulfilled, and that's how I was for many years. I was doing the work, I was getting paid, I was climbing the corporate ladder, I was getting promoted, I was taking on new roles, but on the inside I was like, this isn't what I want to be doing with my life. But I had no idea what it was I wanted to do. And finally ended up leaving the corporate world, sort of circumstantial, because I tried another role internally that was horrible and it didn't work out, and I ended up leaving because there wasn't another role for me. And I hired a coach, and that coach was really a pivotal situation in my life. And what she opened me up to was that spirituality. I was like that control, I want to know what's next kind of person. Definitely like a recovering control freak. And it was really strange to be in a situation where I didn't know what was next for me in my life. And she was the one who said to me, be open to the messages from the universe and just see where life will take you and ask for the path that you may not see right now, ask for the signs. And that's exactly what I did. I was really open and I really listened and paid attention to what I was hearing. And I was hearing all of these amazing business owners that started businesses and loved what they did, but they had all the stories around the numbers. They didn't love dealing with the numbers. I don't know how to do this. They ignored
yeah.
them. And that was my calling. I realized I can really make impact by using my financial Wall Street experience and actually marrying my passion for helping people, which is something I wanted to do in high school. I wanted to be a therapist. So now I get to do this work where people call me their financial therapist.
Yeah, I think it's Good to Great where they talk about what are you good at? What can you be best in the world at? What are you passionate about? And what can you make money at? And trying to find like the intersection of all three of those things.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I did. But, we don't always know what's in the unknown. We sort of
Correct.
like are soul searching, right, for so many years. And so I always invite people to just sort of step back and really ask for guidance. So I talk a lot when I think about those three pillars of redefining prosperity. One of them is spirituality. And it's really, stepping back and knowing like we are not just here on this earth alone. Like there is more to it. And so whatever people believe in, like I believe in God and universe and that's what I talk about, source. Some people don't resonate with that, and I just think about your higher self and your intuition and really allow yourself to be guided to something bigger even if you can't see it right now.
So if anyone is out there and they are going through life, almost going through the motions, doing what society expects of them, letting life maybe in a lot of ways act upon them rather than the other way around, and they've got this maybe uneasy feeling. other than searching for spirituality and connecting with that side, what did you say the second and third pillars are?
Yeah, the first one was well-being,
Okay.
and the third is healthy relationships with people and with money. So even thinking about that, right? Just basic well-being. What, there's the obvious stuff of like eating healthy and sleeping and all of that. And yeah, of course we want to do that and we strive to do that. But I'm even thinking about something deeper, which is what brings you joy? What are the things you love to do that you're not doing? Like we tend to do so much for others. Like think about when it's your friend's, you know, a birthday and you're like, what is that person? What does my buddy like to do? What does my friend like to do? What about you? Like, what are you doing for yourself that you love to do? I want you to really step back and spoil yourself and make time for that and budget for that. It comes in all budgets. So, like some of us, like me, I love to just hang out in my PJs and binge watch my favorite shows. To me, that's spoiling myself. I also love getting away and going on amazing retreats with people that I feel fulfilled with. And so I will save for those and budget for those. So whatever your thing is, I want you to like really step back and do that for yourself because when you're caring for yourself and like you're feeling grounded, you're really opening yourself up to your intuition and like you're giving yourself the space to understand and know what it is you really need. And that's so important.
Yeah, I think sometimes we can get so wrapped up in life, and especially I am not a parent, but I have friends and family members that are parents, and you can get very wrapped up in kids and what they're doing, and you start living for them, or maybe you're living for your spouse, you're living for your job, and you may have forgotten, or you may not even know at this point what you like to do. And in that scenario, I guess what should you do? Try different things or go back and try to do some stuff that you used to like and keep trying? Because there may be some things that just pleasantly surprise you that, oh, you know what? This is for me. This is energizing my soul right now.
That's right. And here's the other thing about it. There's probably things that you all are thinking you want to do, but you're noticing you're not doing them or you're avoiding them, you're keeping busy with other things. And a lot of that is actually fear. Like we are
Mm.
neurologically wired, our brains to keep us the same. Like your brain thinks, safe equals sane. So when you think about like a circle and you think about that being your comfort zone and there's something outside of your comfort zone that you're desiring and your mind is literally trying to keep you in that comfort zone always. It's actively doing that. So that is just basic science. So knowing that and recognizing that is a really good start because then you can literally say, "Oh, I see what you're doing." You can just talk to your mind. I see the game you're
Mm-hmm.
playing. You're not comfortable with this growth. But you know what, mind? I want to do this. This is something I want to try. And what you'll notice as you expand, that your comfort zone starts to expand. And then you have to make that safe and you have to make that feel like the new normal and then go to the next thing. So you're always expanding and you're always trying those new things that you're interested in.
I can imagine from a biological perspective, we as humans, we were safe in our tribe, we were safe in our group. If you went
Mhm.
outside of that, you got attacked by a lion or something like, like I could sort of see
Exactly.
that, yeah, that makes logical
Yeah.
sense. And the way that
Yeah.
we got here was our ancestors were really good about staying in that comfort zone. So that's an excellent point that you make that I had not thought of before.
There you go. And the other thing, right, Lauren, is that spirit going back to that spirituality pillar. So I want people to pay attention to the language they're using, right? We are humans walking around in our lack, our scarcity, right? Our not enoughness. And notice we have a they say we have about 60,000 thoughts a day on average and the majority of them are negative recurring thoughts. Imagine if
Wow.
all day you're like, I'm not happy, I'm not enough, there's never enough money to pay the bills, I have to work really hard to make money, whatever your story is, fill in the blank. What I really invite people to do is start to pay attention to those thoughts and the language that they're using because the universe really is a mirror. What you're putting out is what you're getting back. If you're putting out thoughts of lack and scarcity, you're literally inviting that back. You're saying to the universe, I'm in lack, everything's scarce, there's not enough. And instead, if you're reframing that and thinking more empowering thoughts. So I invite you to use a tool that I've created, which is called the RIR method. And what it is recognize, interrupt, reframe. So start to recognize and pay attention to the thoughts you're having, interrupt when they're negative thoughts, and reframe them with more positive, more empowering thoughts that are more aligned to what you are calling in to your life.
Interesting. Yeah, this is something that my husband and I have been working on. We've been playing tennis, and when
Ooh,
we hit a bad shot, we're trying not to tell ourselves I'm a sucky tennis player, where it's I hit a sucky shot, right? Those are like two
correct.
very different
Yeah.
things, but that like is kind of a silly
Yes.
example that came to mind.
No, I love it. I mean, that could, and that's exactly what it is. It's the little things each day. So it could just be like, oh, it's so hard. Or, it could be you're sitting in traffic and you're just like, oh my God, there's never enough time for anything, right? That's just a real life example. So instead, just like notice that, oh, you know what? There's always enough time to do everything I want to do. I am time. And you start to feel like you breathe easier. Your nervous system starts to feel more regulated, even just saying the new language. And then also remember the universe is divinely guiding you. So there's so much that happens in the unknown that you're not aware of. So for example, if you are in traffic and you are late, it's better because you don't know. There's some reason that you may or may not know. Maybe you avoided an accident, you'll never
Right.
know, but maybe it's because you met someone on your way, to being late to meet someone else that you never would have run into otherwise. So just always stay in trust that everything's happening how it should.
I think about those kinds of things all the time. And one time I did get an accident, and I remember like being obviously really bummed about it. And I was a little injured and stuff, but I was like, I'm glad this hasn't happened before. And now that was 2017. It's been 7 years since then. And sometimes I'll see somebody on the side of the road in an accident. I'll be like, I'm so glad that hasn't happened for me in a long time. I always am trying to like
Yes.
think those positive thoughts too. And my husband will say something negative sometimes, and I'll be like, well, I'm looking at it the other way. Like, yeah, this is a bummer, but like let's say something happens at one of our rental properties. I'll be like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, at least it didn't happen tomorrow when we were on the plane. At least it didn't happen last week while
Yes.
we were, like I'm always trying
Yeah.
to reframe things that way. So you're making me feel really good about like I'm trying very hard to be more of a positive thinker because my parents are boomers and they're like a slightly negative, and I think it's because their parents are children of the depression, and there's just like a bit of a negative mentality that can filter in if you let it. And so thank you, I've been trying to be better about it, and I'm going to continue to do that as a result of this
I
conversation.
think I want to say two things to that. First of all, my really good friend says trying isn't doing. I would argue that you're doing, not trying.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so that's
Yes.
number one. Number two is, yeah, that's also difficult. We are around people all day that are negative, and we're trying to stay in our spiritual bubble or a positive bubble. And I like to believe that it can rub off on others. Like us staying in our zone and them, seeing us as an inspiration could really lead to them making changes. So yeah, you're going to be around people that aren't exactly how you are and they're going to, but you know what? Don't judge. They're on their
No,
journey. You're on
of course.
yours, right? And yeah, so I think that's beautiful. So being an example. And the other thing, I'm going to actually add three things. So this is the third. Um, Gratitude. I loved what you shared because how grateful are you that you were still safe after that accident? How grateful are you that that you had car insurance, right? How grateful are you that you had the means to pay for it? So when we're going through difficult times, really turning that into gratitude is key. And I can give a really clear example. Like we had a really big, huge health challenge in our family last year. And oh, I could have gone down a deep hole of depression. Instead, I stayed in gratitude. I was like, I'm so grateful for the amazing doctors and the care. I'm so grateful for this amazing health insurance. I'm so grateful that this person is still here. I'm so grateful that we're getting the treatment we need. That is truly what helped me get through one of the most difficult times of my life.
I'm sorry that you went through that.
Yeah,
But I can imagine
me too.
that,
Thank you.
yeah, if you've got to go through it either way. So going through it with a negative mindset and going through it, you might as well go through it with a positive mindset. And you might as well go through it from a sense of, being grateful for what you do have. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like you do have to go through negative things, I think, sometimes to recognize what the good things are. If everything's good all the time, then
Yeah.
what that wouldn't be as
Right.
rewarding, right?
No, and by the way, like the negative times when you think back to yourself and all of you listening, those negative times also bring positive. Like I know that that situation that I shared, I know that that is going to lead for that person to go through the journey in life to, do the things that they're meant to do. And I can trust that even though it's really hard. And for me too, all those years on Wall Street, yeah, I had the financial success and all of it, but I was really unhappy. I was sad. I was crying a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
but I know that it all led me here. It all led me here to do this beautiful work in the world. And I would never, ever, ever have been able to do this work. I would never have found this work. I wouldn't have been led. So all of it is your journey. I mean, I think I told you, I lost my both of my parents by the time I was 15. And yeah, that sounds really devastating. And yeah, of course it was. But I also then have gratitude. I have an amazing family. I have an aunt and uncle that I moved in with that help
Oh.
guide me and lead me. And, they're the ones who helped me think about pursuing business. And without having that business degree, again, I wouldn't be doing all this. And I'm pretty sure if my mom were still alive and that hadn't happened, I probably would have been doing something different. I maybe never would have left Philadelphia and ended up in New York, which I love because it's what's, brought me this life that I have, which I'm so grateful for.
And even though you weren't fulfilled at the Wall Street career path, you're using that now. So it's a good thing
Yes,
you went through that too.
exactly. I get to use all that work for good. I get to use it all. And so, all of you listening, when you're in the muck of it, yeah, it's really, I was going to say the F word, but it's really freaking hard. But you know what? Start to reframe that. I actually don't love to use how hard it is, how overwhelmed I am, because that's, that's sort of going against my principles of RIR, but I'm also human and I catch myself. So if you're feeling like it's really hard, reframe it and start to think about, okay, thank you for this journey. Help guide me.
Mm-hmm.
Help guide me.
Challenge, opportunity. Yes, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So talk to me
Yeah.
about the third pillar.
Yeah. So the third pillar, healthy relationships with people and money. So relationships, who are you spending your time with, right? They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with, right? I know that's a little cliche. A lot of people talk about it, but let's go deeper there. When you're at your best, who are you spending your time with? Are those relationships of the people that you're spending most of your time with based on complaining, gossiping, negativity, or are they based on empowering each other, like rising each other up, lifting each other up, inspiring each other? So just start to reflect on that, right? Not everyone is meant to be in our lives forever. And sometimes it's okay and it's healthy to have separation. It doesn't mean you have to say, I'm no longer your friend. It just may mean you start to spend less time and you may spend more time with other people that are more inspiring and maybe more along the lines of like where you want to be, right? So
And
that's the relationships.
that
Yeah.
includes family too. I mean, there can be unhealthy
Yeah.
relationships within your family. And it, like you said, you don't have to be like, I'm breaking up with you, but it can be just, you
Right.
kind of can naturally at least maybe spend less time with people if they're sapping
Yeah,
your joy and not contributing to your life in a meaningful way anymore.
exactly. Ultimately, I like to think about how do you want to feel every day? Like what are if you look like there's this whole big feelings wheel, right? There's like a zillion feelings. I don't know how many actually, but how how do you want to feel every day? Do you want to feel joyful? Do you want to feel ease? Do you want to feel spaciousness? Do you want to feel authentic and, prosperous, abundant? Or do you want to feel anxious? Do you want to feel fearful? So think about how you want to feel and however that is, are the people that you're spending your time with bringing that to you? Are you feeling that way when you're around them? And that's a really good guide to just get you where you need to be.
And what is the idea of the three pillars? Like that we need those before we can build anything on top of them?
No, the 3 pillars are actually think about kind of that Venn diagram like you talked about earlier.
Hmm.
Think about the intersection of well-being, spirituality, and healthy
Okay.
relationships with people and money. And when you're living your life and really focusing on those, that's where true prosperity comes in, right? So that 3rd pillar, the second part of it is really important because healthy relationships with money is really important. And that's where we get into building wealth and the abundance mindset and also your money habits and looking at your money beliefs. So many of us, I do work with a lot of women and we work with a lot of men too, and we see the differences between men and women and thinking about how we grew up. So many women have grown up thinking like, oh, it's not safe to talk about money, or as a lot of people know, up until 50 years ago, we needed a male co-signer to get credit, right? So we're
Yeah.
still just making societal change along with generational change around money and women, but ultimately all of us, men, women, any gender, we have grown up with our own money beliefs. We have seen, how our parents have reacted around money or behaved around money. What were their behaviors? Did they always fight about money? So now you feel like money's not safe, right? Doesn't matter
Hmm.
whether you're male or female. You come with money baggage. You may not even realize it because 95 to 97% of how we show up is based on our subconscious beliefs. So sometimes it just, we have to take a step back and pause and notice some of our money behaviors and our patterns so we can dig deeper and delve deeper into where's that coming from? Is that real? Is that truth?
And what does prosperity mean to you?
For me, prosperity is like really living those in all of those pillars to my fullest. So it means making myself a priority and carving out time for the things I love. It means watching my language and watching what I'm putting out into the world. And it honestly just means putting joy into other people's lives, like to me, like a simple thank you and a smile as I walk by someone. I live in New York City, most people are looking down at their phones. I'm all like, yeah, I'm sometimes looking at my phone or putting on a song or a podcast and looking down, but most of the time I'm looking around and I'm smiling at people or nodding at people and knowing that those little things, those little moments and those points of connection could really make a difference in someone's life. So that is something that brings me joy and feels prosperous to me because I feel like I can spread that love to others. And those healthy relationships, like prosperity is being around a group of people that just like make you feel so fulfilled. Like I like to call it my spiritual bubble. Like when I go on conferences or retreats with aligned people, like I literally am like I see a spiritual bubble around me and I come home and I'm like, okay, don't break the bubble. Don't pop the bubble. Let me see how long I can like keep this into my real world. And appreciating money also is really part of my
Yes.
prosperity. So I do like nice things. I do, by the way, I do enjoy Prada bags or, people
Yeah.
say Ruchi like Gucci. I do enjoy a nice
I
bag,
I
but
love
it
designer
doesn't make me
bags.
feel, yeah, they're amazing. They're gorgeous. They're
I love
beautifully
them.
constructed. Yeah.
I've decided that if I have a nice bag, everybody will assume the rest of my outfit is equally expensive when it's not, and I've actually convinced myself that it is economical to do
I mean, it really just changes everything. But, ultimately, when I'm buying a designer bag, it's because I love it and it makes me smile. It's
Yes,
not
yes.
because
Not for
it
other
makes
people.
me think, yeah, it's not because I think other people will be more attracted to me or like me. It's just because I feel good and I enjoy it. Um, but just really, you know, focusing on all those areas to me is what prosperity is.
Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think I just want to share, sometimes we're really unclear about what we want. So sometimes we just have to step back. And so I always invite people to just take some time for yourself and think about just simply 1 year from now. Where do you want to be living? Who do you want to be spending your time with? How do you want to be feeling every day? What do you want to be doing? Just like kind of hang out, sit on the couch, grab a notebook and just reflect on what it is you want to be doing and on those some of those questions that are really digging deeper into your soul, and then start to imagine what it's like. And you can even write write a letter to someone. Like I write a letter to my mom often, like it's 1 year from now,
Oh,
and just say like, "Dear mom, you won't believe what a year it's been." And then I go on to share like
cool.
what's in my vision. And so use that vision and use those answers as your North Star as you're making decisions in your life, and make sure that those decisions are aligned with that clarity that you have.
Can you let people know how they can follow you, get in touch with you, things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So I'm on Instagram, so at Watch Her Prosper. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find Watch Her Prosper there, or connect with me directly, Ruchi Pinniger, and just let me know you heard me on the podcast. And because I don't usually like invite spammers into my LinkedIn, I get a lot of those. And my website, Watch Her Prosper. And anyone who wants to like really learn more or dig deeper on redefining prosperity, I invite you to download my free workbook. So just go on to iwanttoprosper.com and you can download it there and just dig in a little deeper.
All right, I'll put all of that in the notes for the show as well. And you guys, you can follow me on Twitter X at Adulting is Easy, YouTube at Adulting is Easy, Instagram Adulting is Easy Real. If you like this episode, you may also like episode 31, Financial Planning for Women. Also, I believe it was 118. Yes, Money with Katie came on. We talked about friends, FOMO, and finances, and we talked a little bit about the 5 people around you and being the average of them. So you may like that as well. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Hopefully, Ruchi and I have made adulting a little easier for you.